This is Wes and Gina. They've been happily married for a year now. And that is Wes's girlfriend, Jessie. Yep, they all sleep together. And the three of them live with another married couple, Ginny and Sean. And get this.
Hi.
Sean's also Gina's boyfriend. Relationships are always complicated, but for the estimated 500,000 American families who practice polyamory, there's plenty of love to go around.
When I think about polyamory, it is creating an intentional community, an intentional family. It has nothing to do with just a sexual appetite.
Polyamory means committed non-monogamy, openly loving more than one person at the same time with the consent of everyone involved.
So do you think this polyamorous lifestyle is radical?
If you get past some of the assumptions about the nature of romantic relationships, you see how natural this actually is.
Polyamory may sound extreme, but for some, it may be a more honest and satisfying way to love. Tonight, I'm meeting Americans who are turning their backs on monogamy, and in the process, learning to overcome their deepest insecurities.
And he tells me all they did was kiss. And I just lost it.
America, it can be inspiring and beautiful. It can also be dark and ugly. It's so many things, but it's ours. It's our America. America is, on the whole, a monogamous nation, where most of us believe romantic love is best shared between two people. But I'm about to learn that monogamy doesn't work for everyone, and a growing subculture is choosing a radical alternative. This is Regina, her husband Russell, and her boyfriend Dave. Regina's 11-year-old daughter makes 4. They all live together, and yes, everyone's okay with it.
Can hold.
Because this family is polyamorous.
For me, in my relationships, being attracted to somebody else isn't a big issue. The love that I have for each person is so completely different that I don't see it as a division problem.
There.
Okay.
There are solutions.
Problem solved.
It's more a multiplication issue.
Not about ready to go in the oven?
Yeah, I think so.
Polyamory means maintaining multiple loving relationships at the same time, with every partner involved on board. It's a lifestyle that's turning traditional concepts of family and romantic love upside down. And I've come to Regina's home in the suburbs of Washington State to figure out how it all works.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa. I'm Regina.
Hey, Regina. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. This is my partner, Dave.
Hey, Dave. How are you?
And my husband, Russell.
Hey, Russell. How are you? Nice to meet you. Beautiful house. Beautiful neighborhood. So why did you all decide to live together?
I can come home and I see these guys maybe cuddled up on the couch watching TV, and I can see that she's happy and they're both very happy, and that just makes me inspired.
Would you describe your arrangement as a different definition of family?
I think families come in a lot of shapes and sizes and configurations, and this is just another possibility.
I can't see myself ever going back to monogamy. It would feel completely confining in a way that would be uncomfortable. There are a lot of values that I took from my childhood that I think are still really important. I have chosen not to follow along with the sexual fidelity piece.
Regina wasn't always so unconventional. She grew up in a Christian home with an evangelical minister for a dad. And when she married at age 19, it was a monogamous union.
And that was the way you were supposed to do things. You find somebody, you fall in love, you get engaged, you get married.
You stay in that relationship until it's done, or you die.
But when Regina was 7 years into her marriage and 6 months pregnant, her husband dropped a bombshell. He asked her if she was interested in opening up their marriage, and even more surprising, Regina said yes.
I'd been completely monogamous for about 6 or 7 years at that point in time. We got together when I was quite young, so I'd matured a lot as a person. there were things that I wanted to explore more. And this gave me an opportunity to kind of open up and look at things that I hadn't had access to in quite a while.
Regina and her husband gradually started seeing other people. But things really fell into place when Regina connected with Russell, a family friend who was also rethinking monogamy.
I'd been kind of trapped in serial monogamy for many, many years, and I was now working on the divorce of my second marriage, and I was really looking for an alternative.
One day he was over at the house. I kind of looked across the table and I said, I would so get with you.
I guess I crossed the table and went over and kissed her pretty passionately.
I immediately went and talked to my husband. I said, there was kissing, and it was this really excited thing. And he said, oh, that's great. Why don't you see if, maybe he can come by later on or something like that if you guys want to hang out and spend some time. And that was kind of the beginning of our relationship.
So let's review. Regina now had a husband and a boyfriend. And then things got kind of complicated. Regina and her husband grew apart and divorced. But she and Russell stayed together. And then Dave came into the picture when he and Regina met at a poly discussion group.
It was just overwhelming, giddy crush building up inside of me from that early time.
So eventually he said, I really think you're kind of sparkly. And would it be interesting to date? What do you think about that? I already had all these preliminary conversations with Russell, so there wasn't like this shocked moment of, you're going to start dating Dave? Really? It was just a very natural transition.
A year and a half later, Russell and Regina tied the knot. 1 month after the wedding, Dave moved in. Today, they're what's called a triad, poly speak for a three-way relationship. Dave and Russell are platonic friends. Both of them are in love with Regina.
Oh, that's interesting.
Did that wake something up?
There was a little bit of a jet in the place I wasn't expecting.
All right, I know what you're wondering. How do they deal with sex?
For dates and things like that, we set those up in advance. I default sleep with Russell most of the time, but Dave and I set up overnights occasionally.
Why not just swing?
I don't do casual sex. I would not consider swinging. It would not meet a need for me.
When I think about polyamory, it is creating an intentional community, an intentional family. It has nothing to do with just a sexual appetite.
I want to have more than just sexual relationships with more than one person. For me, it is a lot about the emotional intimacy. It's about the extended network. It's about creating family. These are my family of choice.
And to keep a family this complex running smoothly takes communication.
I wanted to make sure that you're aware that I'm planning on some date time with Dave on Monday evening.
Monday evening's great.
And commitment.
There's an idea that we're just not committed.
You don't have teaching that night, though, do you?
It's almost the exact opposite. It's more responsibility and more commitment, not less. We define our marriage differently than other people might, but it still involves the concepts of responsibility and commitment and fidelity, how we choose to define it.
And indeed, that family looks pretty typical. Regina and Russell share a master bedroom. Dave's got the room down the hall.
Hey, sweetie.
Oh, hey, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Hey, gotta go to work?
Yeah.
Russell's office is downstairs where he runs a tech consulting business. And Regina's studio is next door where she works as a massage therapist.
Everyone contributes financially, I assume.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what about cooking meals and
All hands on
that
deck.
stuff?
We try to trade off those responsibilities.
I really want to get into horseback riding.
For me as a parent, another biggie is that my daughter's pretty much just never left on her own.
How are you going to get your mom to sign off on this?
Just talk to her about it.
Okay.
There is almost always an adult around that's available to answer questions, to help out. On a financial level, it enables all of us to have a higher standard of living than we would be able to achieve otherwise. So that's a definite plus. It gives us more flexibility, more stability. There are a lot of people in poly that don't live with their partners. For us, this has been a very conscious choice to share space with each other with an eye to having a more familial dynamic with each other. I really enjoy kind of the richness of having shared space with other people.
Sounds a lot like your average American family. But in a culture as monogamous as America's, polyamory isn't just unusual, it's downright taboo. The triad hasn't encountered all-out discrimination. Still, I'm amazed to find they don't keep their relationship behind closed doors.
Are you cautious about showing affection to both Dave and Russell when you're out in public?
Not so much anymore. I think initially that was something that I was more concerned about. But by and large, at this point in time, I just kind of let the cards fall where they may. And if somebody has got the guts to ask a direct question, they're going to get a direct answer from me about what the situation is.
I think many people would probably look at the way you're living and think this is really perverted and it's really wrong.
I'm not really afraid of other people's judgments or opinions or what thought process they may have. I just want them to be able to seek happiness, and I want to be allowed to be able to seek happiness in my own way as well.
This one I like.
When it comes to the animal kingdom, monogamy is the exception, not the rule. Just 5% of mammals partner up with only one mate. Could we be built for non-monogamy too?
Polyamory's been around as long as there have been people. Monogamy is a fairly recent invention. I've done some research myself. It's kind of my favorite subject, so.
In a rural community in central Colorado, Robin and her boyfriend Jesus, nicknamed Chewy, are tending their farm. Middle America is known as a bastion of traditional values. But here in the heartland, this couple is breaking new ground.
Not bad for a day.
So your first entree to polyamory, what provoked you to want to pursue it?
The ideology behind polyamory just fit me. People who could live without limitations. Because the last thing I want to do is control anybody. And the last thing I want to do is contain myself or contain my partner.
Robin, you have multiple partners. At last count, what, 4?
Yeah.
Do you love your partners the same?
No.
There's some you love more.
The simple answer is that they're different.
You get certain things from different partners.
Right. I love each one of them uniquely, would be a better way to say it.
Robin's always had a lot of love to give. Ever since she was a teenager, she found herself falling for multiple people at the same time. But nurturing those feelings was never an option.
I have always been polyamorous. I was born this way, if you will.
All right, boys and girls, ready?
Since I was a child, I always identified with the person who was in love with 2 people. You know, there was no internet, there was no magazines that I knew of or information. As far as I knew, I was just some weird person who had issues.
Hey, where's he at?
Over here, right here. I always thought that I would eventually have to, choose one person, and that would have to work.
At age 20, determined to be monogamous, Robin got engaged to her long-term boyfriend. But soon after, she fell for someone else and began an affair that lasted a 1.5 years.
I hated the lies, I hated the deceit, but yet my heart was very much, not having a challenge with loving both of them. A lot of different thoughts went through my head, like, what's wrong with me? Why isn't one person enough? Why can I not do the same things that everybody else does?
Robin called off the engagement, but it took another 8 years before she learned she wasn't alone. After discovering the website for Loving More, a national organization offering support, information, and conferences for the poly community.
You can't even describe it. It's like, oh my God, there's other people out there who feel like I do, and I can connect with and talk about my boyfriend and my husband. And that for me was wonderful.
Robin was joining the ranks of a growing movement. While non-monogamy has been around for thousands of years, polyamory is a relatively new idea. The term was coined in the 90s to describe a relationship style with roots in 60s free love and other countercultures. And unlike polygamy, polyamory isn't grounded in religion. Instead, it emphasizes gender equality and relationship flexibility, something Chewy was looking for as well.
My parents are from Mexico. Very much of, the Catholic Latin culture. They were always wondering when I was going to get married. But I couldn't keep a relationship to save my life. I would go from one person to the next, to the next. I couldn't find the one that I was taught to be looking for.
Chewy sought counseling for his relationship problems, and his therapist suggested he explore polyamory. In 2005, he attended his first Loving More conference, and Robin was running it.
What was it about each other that sparked your interest?
I was talking to some folks, and he comes wandering in, and he sat down next to me and says, "Can I put my head on your lap?" And I went, "Sure." And I was wearing a skirt that had kind of a slit in it, and he put his head on my lap, and his hair fell over him. I went, "Oh, I don't like that." And that was kind of what the spark was the first time for me with Chewy.
And for me, she has such a great heart. I love the work that she was doing. I felt so comfortable, and I figured who better to get involved with than you. So what do you think, Lev?
I like the purple.
Okay.
You asked.
Okay.
7 years after the sparks first flew, Chewy and Robin are going strong.
You want me to braid your hair?
Please.
They both have other relationships, but consider each other primary partners, meaning they share a home, finances, and a long-term commitment.
I just gotta figure out what earrings I want to wear tonight.
But recently, Robin met someone new. Now, she and Chewy are taking him out on a date.
Wear the belt or not?
Got that little 80s fling going with the belt.
I can't believe you said that.
Robin's other boyfriends live in New York and Hong Kong. She communicates with them through phone calls and occasional meetings. But this new guy is local. If things work out, Robin will be making room for yet another love in her life.
It was going to take somebody very special to have me want to date anyone again, because I was very satisfied with my relationships. And that's when they say it happens. You least expect it, somebody comes into your life. Kind of like you did.
Kind of nice.
This person came along and was very special, but it's challenging. I'm sitting here going, oh my God, can I manage another relationship? That's something I'm asking myself right now.
Hola.
Hi, sweetie. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
For 45-year-old John, Robin's new boyfriend, this relationship is also uncharted territory.
Good to see
I
you.
needed that hug.
Glad you could make it. Likewise.
After his 3 monogamous marriages ended in divorce, John is trying polyamory for the first time.
I've described myself in the recent past as being polyamorous in spirit because I've never felt like I could really be everything to somebody forever and ever. And I definitely adore Robin and feel a kinship.
John discovered the poly community online and met Robin and Chewy at a Loving More discussion group 2 months ago.
I would love to have the steam mussels. Would you like that?
Definitely.
When a fire damaged Robin and Chewy's farm, John helped transport their livestock. It was then that Chewy recognized John's potential as a partner for Robin.
He said he was scoping him out for me. He's like, he really liked this guy and you should go out with him.
But we needed the Chewy seal of approval. And you won. You got it. I passed the interviews that I don't know I'm in.
That's right. He's very smart, and he seemed to be really grounded in who he is and what he wants. And that was really nice. It was really refreshing. And I just felt drawn to him.
Robin and John's attraction is clear, but Chewy's no third wheel. To welcome John into the equation, he needs to feel what's known in the poly world as compersion. Happiness for the happiness your partner feels with someone else.
The days when Robin goes out with John, as she comes home, she is lit up like a firecracker. You just kind of see it in her eyes. She's got that glow. She's got that grin.
It's one thing I told Robin is like you got a big heart, and that's really comforting.
She is so full of life at that point. How could I not love somebody who's that much buzzing with life? Let us treat.
Thank you. It's very kind. Thank you.
Robin, Chewy, and John's relationship is off to a good start.
See you soon. Thank you.
But this is only the beginning. They've abandoned monogamy.
Hey, you, come here.
But no one can escape jealousy.
Philosophically and rationally, this made more sense to us.
But you forget that emotions aren't ruled by those two things at all.
In the suburbs of Philadelphia, the next generation of polyamory is making itself at home.
Regina, too many people live here. There's no way I'm gonna fit all this bacon on the griddle.
Bunch it up a little bit.
In poly, there's no limit to who you can love or how many.
How eggs reveal your personality.
I like my eggs over easy.
We found out that you're guarded and shy.
Why is that?
Because you like scrambled eggs.
And this is a family of 5, what's known as a W. Let's break it down. This is Jesse, who's dating Wes, who's married to Gina, who's seeing Sean, who's married to Ginny.
I grew up in a very conservative religious family. Sean was polyamorous when we started dating. Sort of talked about it as just, oh, isn't this an interesting idea, an interesting approach to relationships.
I was all in. There was no going back. Monogamy was something that can work for some people. It cannot work for me.
Dude.
We do not have inappropriate topics at the table.
For me, polyamory is about really deep, intimate relationship without ever having to pressure them to completely satisfy every need that I could possibly have. Have a good day.
You too.
It's sort of relationships evolved.
The symbol for polyamory is a heart with an infinity symbol in it, denoting the idea that love is infinite.
And it just keeps growing.
Yeah.
5, 20, and 30-somethings bucking conventional romance. Is this a modern American family? Or just some 21st century bohemians trying out free love?
Sean, for example, you sleep with Ginny.
Mm-hmm. We have a bedroom that's separate from their bedroom.
Okay, and then when you and Gina want to spend time together, like and be physical, for example, how does that work?
We usually go to my bedroom or our bedroom, but not always, but generally.
Where do you go, Ginny?
Right, if it's earlier in the evening, you guys usually go to the bedroom, and I just stay up and do my own thing.
Just like sort of scheduling time. It's like, hey, we should go upstairs. Hey, we're going upstairs.
Right.
Like,
And everybody's comfortable with that.
There's no complicated
And for
planning.
instance, Wes and Gina are like cuddling in bed and I'm already asleep. They can do whatever they want. I'm not going to be bothered.
Really?
Really. You know, we're just very comfortable with each other.
So how does a group this complicated, yet so seemingly free of issues, get together in the first place? It all started with Wes and Gina.
Be sure to make lots of comments about the nose and the tannins.
I refuse to do that.
You're so sophisticated. We were both in a production of Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes, Wes was the rabbi, and I was a random villager. One day I was like, I should just go, talk to that Wes guy. And I sat down with him and he had me rolling over in laughter in approximately 1 second.
Wes and Gina began dating exclusively. But 5 years later, after listening to podcasts about non-monogamy, they started talking about opening up their relationship.
We were happy monogamous. I don't think there's any contradiction to people being monogamous and happy. We just decided to do this because we thought it would make us even happier. Philosophically and rationally, this made more sense to us.
But rationality rarely applies to matters of the heart. As Gina would discover after she and Wes embarked on an open relationship with a don't ask, don't tell policy. 6 months in, Gina sensed that Wes was involved with a mutual friend and confronted him.
And he says, well, do you want to know if anything happened? And I said, well, yeah, actually, I think I do want to know. And he tells me all they did was kiss. All they did was kiss. And he tells me this, and I just lost it. I was deeply insecure. I looked at anything he did differently with somebody else as, well, what, you don't want to do that with me? Why? I was terrified he was going to leave me.
Throughout those early days, Wes continued dating, but he kept asking Gina if she wanted to turn back, and she always said no.
I really hated those things about myself. They kind of stop people from wanting to do this, you know, like I'm just a jealous person, so I can't do it. You know, I'm so insecure, I can't do it. I'm so possessive, I can't do it.
Did you feel like you were going along with it because you just wanted to, like, be a good wife and supportive wife?
I wasn't doing it to be a good wife. It was sort of, I was doing it because when we had that conversation, those reasons, the idea of being mutually invested in each other's mutual happiness, I believed in that.
5 minutes! I know, thank you!
Tonight, the Philadelphia W is preparing for an outing.
Gina, Tandoori's laying on your stuff.
Ah!
A steampunk costume party.
Do you have that corset I can try? Black corset, here you go. Thank you.
And for Gina, it's a chance to spend time with the family she developed when she faced down jealousy and embraced polyamory.
I will fully admit I was the jealous one. That's a toxic thing to have in a relationship. It was enlightening to see how deep-rooted some insecurities were, and it started this whole kind of amazing journey over the last 3 years.
You look so pretty!
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Jesse is really, I mean, Jesse is just a game changer.
For both of us.
Yeah.
Jesse and Wes met 2 years ago through an online dating site and quickly fell for each other. But from the beginning, Jesse cultivated her relationship with Gina as well as Wes.
I really wanted to build a good foundation with Gina. And so I said, if I do anything that bothers you, if there's anything that I can do to make you comfortable, please communicate with me. Please talk to me.
Was there a definable point in which you felt like, okay, I can do this?
Jesse, he was coming to a party at the house. It'd be probably the first time I was really gonna spend any time with her. She emailed me. She reached out to me to be like, I just want you to know that I totally respect your relationship. It established this idea that she was invested in me too.
We just hit it off really well. We became fast friends. Can you sit down, by the way?
Well, it's styrofoam.
Don't break your balls.
Shut up, cat.
A year ago, Wes and Gina invited Jesse to move in. They were now a fully functioning triad. And that's about the time that Gina fell for Sean.
We fit each other in this way that I have not had with anyone else in my life. We're making each other laugh, and I thought she was very sexy, and she thought that I was sexy, and next thing you know, we were dating. So that's how that worked out.
But that wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of the W.
You rolled a 7.
We were actually here for a party, and Sean turned to me and said, I want to live here. I'm feeling more and more like I want to be here and sort of establish a home.
Ginny and Sean moved in this past summer, completing the W. And now, date night is every night.
Welcome to Polybar Galactica. What can I get you?
Our situation is pretty ideal these days. The usual.
The usual?
Yes. The time management thing is less of a problem because we're all here. Beautiful.
Is it difficult? It can be sometimes.
Certainly there are sometimes tensions or conflicts that need to be worked out, but I feel very good about our ability to talk through those things.
Communication is essential.
I didn't realize the depth of closeness that you could have with a person until we did this. It's really just the most rewarding thing in the world to know that there's no secrets that you need to keep.
I see long-term a bigger house, a few kids running around, and maybe a few more partners. But we want to have a big, friendly environment full of lots of people.
So let's talk about kids. Who wants to have them?
I do.
Have you discussed how that's going to work? I mean,
bigger house.
We need a bigger house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also imagine them sort of being a cluster, assuming we have kids around the same
It's
time.
just going to be a little tribe. It's just going to be a little community of people. That does make me think about how compatible we are as a family. And I think that that's going to be a wonderful thing to bring children into, is that whatever they decide for their lives, whether it's about religion or orientation or whether they want to be monogamous or polyamorous, is they're going to have an entire group of intelligent, thoughtful, caring people who they can go to. And that's great.
Back in Colorado, a poly family is what John's been seeking too, after 3 decades spent in failed monogamous relationships.
I have felt love for multiple people at the same time, but in prior monogamous relationships, that would create jealousy and anger. And so when you find people who you relate to, who you can be yourself around, then it does seem very natural.
Oh, quit. You get me all dirty.
John's been Robin's boyfriend for 2 months now.
You ready, John? Yes, sir. Let's do it.
But before their relationship gets serious, John also has to win over Robin's boyfriend, Chewy.
Let's unhook this.
And her 16-year-old daughter, Marina.
So where do you want me?
Grab that pivot point where I was. All right, go that way.
I don't know John as well as I would like to yet. That's still a developing thing.
What are you gonna do with that fence post, Chewy? Coming your way.
As far as getting to know him deeply, I'm actually still looking forward to enjoying that.
You having fun yet, John? Oh, always.
seems like a lot of work. You're trying to court the woman, but you're also trying to impress her partners as well.
In some ways, it is kind of a 3-way courtship, but it's been a fun 3-way courtship.
There's no nuclear waste in there, right? Girlfriend, you gotta pick your fruits before they turn into...
I've been busy.
Yeah, Jesus and John are developing a friendship, and that's really good to see. One of the things that we've made it important is that we all get along.
Here you go, John. Got a bouquet for you. Alrighty, thank you, sweetie.
I think it could only go there if we all were connected.
The rabbits really love the carrot tops.
I know the rabbits love the carrot tops.
But as the adults get closer, I have to wonder what all this means to Robin's daughter, Marina. How does that unconventional upbringing shape a teenager's view on love?
As a 16-year-old, have you ever had those sort of fantasies of meeting that dream guy and marrying him and living happily ever after?
No.
Really?
No.
Never.
And, you know, I could see myself living in a home with 2 partners. I honestly don't think one perfect person exists.
So what has it been like to grow up in a polyamorous family?
My mom knows everything really close. She doesn't think she needs to keep things from her partners or from her kids. Her polyamory lifestyle brought in a new father figure for me, which was really important in my life.
Watch your hands.
Watch your fingers.
I haven't done this like 50 times.
I know, but every time somebody pinches their hand.
And when her newest partner came into our lives, she asked us if it was okay for him to come up and visit often. He's cool, so.
And there we go.
We all care about each other. We all take care of each other. We just have this big family.
I would like to hang lights in here for this evening, and I know we have some.
And tonight, that family's taking a big step forward. Chewy and Robin are throwing a party to make an announcement.
I love you.
I love you too.
They're getting engaged.
Come on, John.
Yes,
Let's go get some food going.
The party prep has started, huh?
Yes, it has.
Look at how beautiful this is. This is all from your garden?
Yes, actually it is.
It's amazing. Jesus is carrying the craziest carrot I've ever seen. It's kind of like Robin and Jesus and John and the kid. It's a polyamorous carrot.
That's it.
Chewy, part of this engagement and the wedding that you will have is for your family, so you can prove your commitment to Robin. But what about Robin's boyfriend, who is going to be there as well? How will your conservative Mexican parents take that?
They're gonna wig.
They're gonna wig out.
But you know what? They know what I'm doing. And this is my lifestyle. So if they accept me, you know, the lifestyle is part of my package.
What's the point of even getting married?
Some of it's just because of the laws in our culture. If I were to get sick, I would want Chewy to make the decisions about what would go on. And it means we're gonna file our taxes together. And part of the reason for the formalness of it, or the ceremony, is for his family. You know, it's kind of to say, yes, this is a serious commitment.
But what about John?
John!
Does this veteran monogamist really know what he's getting into? After all, polyamory is a lifestyle on the fringes, one that still comes with condemnation.
There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. It's not something to hide or be ashamed of. Loving people, however you love them, is not a bad thing.
Where are we going with this?
Probably over there.
Okay.
That's done.
Okay.
In suburban Washington, Regina and her husband Russell are hosting a potluck,
Come on in. Feel free to find a spot to plop stuff down.
an American tradition, but this one has a twist. It's for their polyamorous friends.
See, I often have to wait until Russell has a new girlfriend, then he'll cook. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next big meal there, Camille.
And in attendance are Russell's girlfriends, Camille and Alyssa.
How are you? I'm good.
A few years into my poly experience, I started exploring the idea of local community. I decided to start my own discussion group where we learn from each other's experiences and not feel abnormal for a little while.
Polyamory is still a fledgling subculture in America, and some who practice it face criticism from their families and communities. Meetings like this are one place where they can let down their guard.
We'll just go ahead and make a quick round of introductions. Let us know just kind of a little snapshot on what your poly landscape looks like.
I'm Sean, and I consider myself to be monogamous, but I support Jen in her polyamory.
Well, I was 4 years old when I told my favorite nun that I intended to have my wife and our shared husbands and all of our kids, and I wanted a rainbow family.
I have never been monogamous in my life. I have never been involved in a monogamous relationship, and that's about it.
So, why poly? What are the reasons that you guys decided to approach becoming poly in the first place?
I like the idea that I have agency in my life and that I can choose the path that I want. And so when I'm gathering with the people that are here, we're actually building something together. And so I feel like I'm choosing who it is I want to be, and I'm working towards that goal.
I think it's unreasonable to expect one person to meet all my needs. You know, Sean's introverted, I'm extroverted. I like to go out a lot, and he doesn't. He burns out, and so that way I can go out with my extroverted partner, and this way you can stay monogamous with your video game partners.
My other partners are Xbox and PlayStation.
And personally, for me, I just think jealousy is a really unhealthy emotion, and I've had jealousy tear apart monogamous relationships that I've been in. And so I don't think a monogamous relationship could ever work for me in the future. And so I feel much happier this way.
What does the poly community actually mean to you?
The fact that there is a place where you can feel comfortable and be yourself, and your kids can know that there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. It's not something they have to hide or be ashamed of. That it's just the way people are. And that, loving people, however you love them, is not a bad thing.
What are some of the frustrations that you feel when you're in a poly relationship?
We all have different partners. Trying to be able to coordinate our own times and schedules. It becomes a gigantic balancing act, and you're starting to make desperate calls like, are you free now? Because I got some free time. Do you have some free time? Let's try to get together.
Jealousy is definitely a frustration. I don't want anybody to think that just because we're poly that we're not jealous, because we are.
When I'm involved with somebody and she starts a new relationship, one of the things that I try to keep in mind is this person is somebody who adds value to her life, and that I can respect that even if I don't necessarily understand what it is. It's not about me.
Regina's created a space for folks to share who they are and how they love without judgment. But with this group, something else is becoming clear to me. Poly isn't just a way of loving, it's a way of living.
A lot of people think that what poly is, sex with all kinds of people. And for me, when I got sick last year, the community was really there for me because we're family.
It's not just about the people that I directly connect with, it's about creating that sense of community. We're outliers, and in a lot of ways, there are points where you can feel pretty isolated. So having people that you can be completely open with is really one of the main reasons I'm poly, actually.
At its heart, polyamory is about flexibility, giving your partners and yourself freedom to love without restriction.
I think that a lot of monogamous people would do well to examine the idea of possession and ownership with their partners.
You have something set up with your other partner on Wednesday, is that right?
Yeah, Wednesday, 6, I think.
The really, really important part is, does she like sushi, Dave?
Yes, we have gone to sushi.
Okay.
While I have extremely intense bonds with my partners, that doesn't mean I own them. I don't own their thoughts, I don't own their actions, and they still get to make choices for themselves.
Still love you even if you don't enjoy sushi.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I know that you have other partners for these things.
They are with me because it is a choice. It's less about ownership and more about belonging.
Back in Colorado, there's another poly gathering underway.
We don't have anything vegan, but we do have vegetarian and gluten-free.
Tonight, Robin and Chewy are making a surprise announcement of their engagement to friends and family, including Robin's boyfriend of 2 months, John.
It looks like a happy house.
Everybody, just go ahead and make your way out there.
So whoever wants tequila, come this way and get some.
I'm here.
Does everybody have a glass or a shot or some kind of a clinker?
We've been together, I don't know how long.
Over 7 years.
We've been together 7 years. What came out of that is that Chewy and I are going to have a commitment ceremony next summer. We are actually going to legally get married. We're really excited about that. We're also, through all this, I feel like, and I think Chewy would agree, we actually got a really great blessing in John coming into our lives.
You're stuck
Just
with
want to
us
make sure that we get to welcome John. So to everybody, salud.
A wedding makes a relationship official in the eyes of the law
That is not smooth.
and monogamous society. But Chewy and Robin plan on putting the ceremony and the marriage to follow on their terms.
Chewy and I are into the fact that we may at some point have another primary partner in our lives. And, that certainly has been more of the potential since I've met John.
I love you.
And I love you. Because I'm pretty crazy about him. So that's, we're realizing that really is a strong possibility.
Robin and Chewy are deepening their commitment. But John's future is less certain. He's falling in love, but it remains to be seen how he'll fit into this poly family.
Everything is kind of new enough, and we're all still discovering, how it works. But I definitely feel loved and appreciated here. Right now, it's loving and discovering and learning and just seeing where it goes.
In suburban Philadelphia, the W House is winding down. In a nation as straight-laced as ours, rejecting monogamy is not easy, nor is facing down jealousy and insecurity. But for people who practice polyamory, it seems the challenges are worth the rewards.
What would you say you get out of this, out of polyamory?
First of all, I'm in a really wonderful other relationship that, Sean brings me a great deal of happiness.
All right. It's time for me to go to bed.
All right, we'll just let the barbacks take care of this.
Yep.
Just pay me.
I feel more committed to Wes than I used to.
Good night.
Good night.
I also just feel a greater capacity to care and to love. But it's the ability to come home to this and have these just wonderful, wonderful people here I can barely express how amazing that is. And that would never have been possible had we not done this.
Yesterday, Robin and Chewy announced their engagement, with Robin's boyfriend, John, by their side.
Maya, come here.
They plan to marry next summer. But beyond the ceremony, there's no limit on where their family might go.
I would love to see multiple partners here.
One. That'll work.
I would love to be able to see families intertwined with each other. You know, Robin involved with her partners, having my partners here, physically having a very intimate family here on the property would be quite nice.
So where does John fit into your future?
The thought of sharing my life with two primary male partners, I don't know if it's going to go there, but that's my fantasy.
That's mine too. You realize that much of America might think that you all are a bunch of freaks.
I didn't say we weren't.
How do you respond to that?
It's like, who's the freak? I'm making committed relationships with people that I love and building a family and a community. We're just saying, let's be real about our lives and be honest about who we are. And let's focus it on love and relationships and connection.
If that makes us a bit of an outcast for being honest folk, then, you know, I'll take my honesty.